This podcast contains strong language and adult themes.
Date Night China explores life and love for better relationships in China. Every week, we hear from different guests and dive into dating, relationships, mental health, and how both expats and Chinese people connect with each other here in China.
Join the Date Night community through our podcast and events in Beijing and Shanghai, and catch up on all the latest stories on our official WeChat account.
Find our account on WeChat by searching Date Night China, no spaces, no capital letters. You can also join our WeChat group by adding Rachel, me, on WeChat. You can search Rachel Weiss 22, RACHEL WEISS 22.
And now for this week's episode. Hello and welcome to this week's episode. It's all about confessions of a Beijing fuckboy. And to confess with us, it sounds like a religious aspect. This is a confessional. We have Martyn here from sunny Scotland.
Forgive me, Father, for I've sinned. Hi, how are you? How are you guys?
Hello, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me. It's a great place to be.
So do you feel like you're going to be bearing your soul?
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to put everything on the table.
There's no secrets.
I'm not like a secret person. I'm a very open person. So, this is not something this is not something that I wouldn't tell a random stranger. So why not tell you guys?
Great.
And our millions of listeners.
Yes, all the millions of fans around the world.
I kind of was thinking, I was like, am I shooting myself in the foot by this? Because I was like, it's going to be known. Like, people are going to be like, that's Martyn. I'm going to be like, whoops. But like, whatever.
I don't know. I mean, I'd like to think people listening in the UK, we do know that we have one fan in Germany. That's like my best friend from school. Like, that's a way for him to listen.
You need to tell me where he is so I stay clear.
Oh, there might be two fans. I've got another friend as well, actually, that's just been turned onto the podcast. So, yeah. So maybe we've got some fans in Germany, maybe in the UK.
Yeah.
Who knows?
And in China.
There might be fans after that. We might get more fans after this one.
Yeah, you never know.
It's quite a salacious episode.
Yes, quite. And so Martyn, why don't you just tell us a bit about yourself, where you're from, how long have you been in China, and are you single or in a relationship? Which I don't even need to ask probably from the title.
Yeah. So my name is Martyn. I am 28 years old. I'm from sunny Scotland, one of the greatest countries in the world. It's a shame we're tied to some waste.
Well, I mean, we don't need to get into that.
Some dead weight. Yeah, I've been in China for almost 3 years, like 3 years in August, actually. And I am single. Yeah, I'm single.
Okay. And you are a self-professed fuckboy.
Yes.
So can you tell us, a little bit about that? Because some people also may not know what a fuckboy is. We think most people probably do by now, but
most people have probably met a fuckboy.
Yes.
Yeah.
So why don't we get into that, and what does that kind of mean, and why do you say that?
So I never ever thought of myself as a fuckboy, but a lot of my friends back home would always be like, "You're such a fuckboy, Martyn. You're such a fuckboy." And then I came here, and my first roommate here was like, "Wow, I've never met someone who's as much of a fuckboy as you." And to me, like, I think I fit it because, like, I have such a fear of, like, commitment in relationships that, like, I never get there. And I'll do everything in the lead up to being in a relationship and, like, showing somebody that I'm ready to commit. But then when it comes time to commit, I'm like, oh, whoops, I've got laundry to do. I'll see you later. Like, I got socks to match. Sorry. And I think I fit in it there. I think I've gotten a lot better since being in China, actually. And I put it down to my roommate. Like, she loves to talk about, like, feelings and stuff. And I hate it, like, because I'm, like, a big fuckboy. Like, I don't talk about what I feel. But she'd, like, sit me down and be like, how do you feel about this boy? Blah, 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 blah. And I think I'm getting better. I think I still have fuckboy tendencies, but, yeah.
I mean, the difference is, I guess, in this case, is that a lot of fuckboys, they either don't admit it because they're openly lying, or they're just straight in denial, because it's like, I'm not that guy. Do you know what I mean? I'm not a fuckboy.
A lot of the ones I've dealt with anyway, they're like very like in denial about what they are, who they are. I think I came to realization like a long time ago, like I honestly, like, this is so stupid, but I put it down to like last 2 years in university, like I was a really big smoker of
Happy cigarettes.
Of happy cigarettes. And so like I smoked a lot, and like I kind of just would like, after like I'd be hanging with my mates and stuff, and like I'd just sit and I'd think, and like it would just be me and my thoughts, and like I really, really thought about like, oh, why do I do all this stuff? And you know, like I kind of like came to terms with it and was like, oh, I do all this because of XYZ. And I came to terms with it, and I kind of became open about it with boys when I started dating them. I was like a bit rocky when I first came to China, but like now I always say to boys when I start, I'm like, hey, like I don't want a relationship. I don't want the whole commitment thing. I just kind of want a friend to like have sex with and cuddle with, because we all love a cuddle. But
we all love a good
yeah,
cuddle.
we all love a good spoon. Like it's nothing better.
Are you the big spoon or the little spoon?
I'll flip. But
I
like,
like to flip.
I'm so tall.
I enjoy being the little spoon.
Yeah,
actually.
little spoons are nice. Like
Yeah.
you feel like, oh, but I'm so tall that it's like it's really hard for me to be a little spoon because
It's very easy for me.
it's like a hamster.
Yeah, you're a good little spoon. Nate.
Yeah.
He's a great little spoon. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard for me to be a little spoon, but it's enjoyable. But yeah, like after I smoked all those happy cigarettes, I kind of came to a realization, kind of came to peace with it. Whilst like I think like all these other fuckboys aren't smoking happy cigarettes, so they're just like in complete denial about everything, you know.
So isn't that though, like, I don't know, isn't that just more empowerment and just like saying or speaking your truth, you know, some people might say, or like just being open and honest about what you want, you know, just because you don't want a relationship, you know, doesn't make you a fuckboy, right?
Yeah, like that. I'm there, man. I'm there. But
Do you think you were like, you think you've evolved from, you were like level 1 fuckboy and now you've ascended to like this more like realization or
yeah,
self-actualized? You were a self-actualized fuckboy.
Yeah, I've leveled up.
Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
I've leveled up.
Yeah.
But I like, even still, I'm like going in and very like I was dating a guy last year, and we dated for like almost a year. And going into it, I was super honest with him, where I was like, I don't want a relationship. Like, it's not something I want. I also am like, I don't like text people, like, really. I'm like known for just like not replying to people. It's really bad. But so like I always tell boys, I'm always like, I'm not going to text you 24/7. I'm not going to like give you that constant reassurance that you need. And the guy I was dating, he was like, yeah, that's fine. Like I can totally get behind that. But I always find like going into it with like honestly with boys, they're like, yeah, they think that's what they can do. And then as you start spending more time with them and like everybody starts getting feels, everything that they want then changes, and they're like, oh, actually I don't want this, I want all this. And I'm like, okay, well, I was honest with you. Like with this guy I was dating, he was always like, I want you to be my boyfriend. I want you to like start texting me more. I want you to let me like hang out with your friends. And I was like, no, like I was honest with you from the start. I don't want any of this. And he was like, you're such a fuckboy, blah, blah, blah. Like, you're not ready to like have commitment. You're not ready to meet me. And I was like, yeah, I'm not. Like, I told you all this from the start. Like, I'm not just going to suddenly change my mind. And from like my perspective of like being a fuckboy and looking at the other person, a lot of it's like you're projecting what you want onto me and then calling me a fuckboy for it. But when in actual honesty, like I've just been honest with you from the start about what I want, and you changed your mind.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You see, okay, so if it was, you know, because I've heard so many girls complain about this or talk about this, you know, like, and then in the podcast, you know, because we've heard so many stories and whatnot. And it's, you know, it's just a classic. It sounds like it's a classic, or he'll change for me, right? You know what I mean?
For sure. And it's
Yes.
like, yeah.
I think people think, oh, well, as we're progressing and now that we're into this more, maybe we're both feeling this way, that we both are leaning this way. But you haven't done anything that showed that you've changed or you want that differently. You were honest and upfront. And I think that's the difference as well between like, you know, casual sex and casual sex. You can do it as long as people are being upfront and there's a mutual understanding, like this is not going to be a relationship. And like you said, I think you were upfront and you were honest about it. And that's the problem though. Like I think a lot of women have experiences with guys who aren't upfront about that, who play the games and they're like doing emotional manipulation that leads you to think that. And they've never actually told you, oh, I'm not looking for anything serious. Or maybe they don't actually really talk about it. But I think
maybe they have, and then
or maybe they have, and they
people hear what they want to hear, you know.
That's
like,
true.
You know.
there was things I'd said to this guy where like when we ended up having arguments later on, he'd be like, "You've never said this to me before," and I'd be like, "Are you joking?" Like, "Yes, I have," and like I would tell him, I'd be like, "I told you on like June 16th, like that's when I told you, like I know for a fact I told you," but like people hear what they want to hear, and he didn't want to hear that, so he didn't listen to it, kind of thing, you know.
Yeah. I'm curious as well. So, like in the queer community, LGBTQ community here in Beijing, is there a difference? I was asking you this before the podcast.
Yeah.
Is there a difference, like with a fuckboy or fuckboy behavior in the gay community versus the straight community, hetero? Is there, or is it kind of just the same?
I don't know, because I have never had sex with a girl in China. So like, you know, I don't know. I'm not in the hetero world, but like from stories that I hear from like girlfriends and stuff, like I definitely think straight fuckboys are like a whole other level. In my head, there's a difference between like expat fuckboys and like your hometown fuckboys, because expat
sexpats.
Yeah, they're so much fucking worse. Like they're just, I call them LBH, which like means loser back home, and a loser back home is somebody, this is like super bad, but this is like my opinion. A loser back home is somebody that like they're just kind of, they're normal, like they don't get loads of girls when they go out, or they don't get loads of guys when they, because girls can be LBH too, like they don't get all this stuff back home, but they come to places like China and they feel so entitled, and they think they're like this massive
God's
fish.
gift.
Yeah, and they think they're God's gift, and they think they're this big fish in this tiny little pond, when in actuality it's like you're nothing special. Like if we go back home and visit your hometown, you're the smallest fish in that pond, man. Like, and it's just like back home the fuckboys like kind of know like, oh, I'm not entitled, I'm not special, like I don't deserve anything. But here there's like an element of like, oh, I deserve this, I should be getting all these girls, I should be getting all these guys, I should be getting
totally. There's a
XYZ.
huge sense of entitlement. Have you seen those memes? And it's just like men in China, or like white men in China, and they're like, you know, like movie star, and then it's like them back home, and they're like a trash bag.
Yeah, which is like, it's so
it makes me laugh, because not to like overgeneralize men, I know there's some really good guys out there, shout out to you guys, but there are lots of the guys who act like that though, and they can treat people like garbage because they, you know, they've just got a large dating pool and they just want to do whatever and use people however they want.
I think they think they're hot shit because they're like, look at me, I'm in another country, when it's like, we're all in another country, like what, like you're not fucking special, like and they just have a sense of entitlement, you know. And I think it can also stem from like a lot of, I think it's quite predominant in like white men especially, and I think it comes from like this whole sense of entitlement of being a white man in China, of being like, oh, you're quote unquote desirable, of like what the Asian market,
the image of
what
that
the Asian
entails,
and
and what the baggage that comes with that.
Yeah, so they're
here.
like, oh, I'm hot shit, you know. Like if someone's gonna tell you you're a duck all day, eventually you're gonna be like, oh, maybe I am a duck, you know. And if someone's gonna tell you you're hot shit all day, eventually you're gonna be like, oh yeah, I am. But like, just stay humble, man, because like, you know, if you go back home, no one's gonna look at you twice, you know. Like, and it really bugs me, but like, yeah, it's the same in like in queer, like the dating pool in queer. Like, there's a lot of LBHs of like where they think they're hot shit, but I'm like, no, you're not. And to me, it's a massive turn off. I like can't go near somebody that's LBH.
So, and is that do those qualities make themselves apparent straight away through like Tinder or bio, or is it like you're on the date and you're like, oh no, you are an LBH?
Yeah.
Now that I've sussed you out a little bit, or are there telltale signs?
Yeah, anyone that takes a picture in front of the Temple of Heaven, man, you're LBH. You're gone. You're out. You're gone.
Oh shit, that's my profile picture.
Don't look at Rachel's Instagram.
No, that's
oh shit.
I'm
a basic white Insta bitch. Yeah. I know that and I own that.
Yeah, but that's true. Like, own it. Like, be
I
like,
own that.
Oh, this is what I am. Like, whatever, man.
Yes.
Like, this is who I am. No, that's not really a telltale sign. I think you can just tell from someone's demure, and like, you can really tell by like, especially from like what kind of clubs and stuff they go to. Like, to me,
what are the clubs here that are like
Bacardi, man? Like, Bacardi screams like, I'm a loser. Like, but like, I've been to Bacardi. Like, I've had like fun there. Like, I've got friends that go there. It's nice, but like,
but if it was like a regular haunt, you know what I mean?
This is like
you
a
know,
go-to fishing pool.
If it was like a regular Saturday night, 7 p.m. Bacardi, get set in.
Yeah,
Maybe
if
like 11
If it's your
PM,
Mo's
but-
Tavern or your Central Perk, like, yeah, you got something you got to work on.
What are the cool clubs to go to then?
I don't know.
If you name them, then
anything
they
in the-
wouldn't become
Yeah, they're not
wouldn't be
cool anymore.
Sorry.
I prefer just like hanging out in the hutongs where it's everybody I meet in the hutongs. They're just chill. Like they're willing to like open up to different cultures and stuff. But like everybody I meet in Bacardi and what's the other place?
Martini?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Anyone I meet there, I'm just like.
It seems like a status thing as
Whatever.
well. Like, I'm just here to show up, show out. And
Yeah.
it's like, yeah.
I like, to me, I don't know, like, if it's not really the same in America, but like Nathan will get this, like, where people that go to Bacardi and Martini are people that aren't ready to let their uni days go.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
like,
Yeah, it's
which, like, no shade, like, live your, like, glory days, man. Like,
Yeah.
If you guys
go to
aren't
the bar, get like a Smirnoff Ice.
yeah,
and,
like,
and a reef.
Yeah.
And just go back to your friends.
What's,
and
Yeah.
what's
you
a
know.
reef?
Oh, that was a similar to Smirnoff Ice.
Oh, okay.
yeah, like a Rio. It's like
Rio.
it's
A
like
Rio, the
yeah,
Chinese
yeah.
Rio, yeah.
Yeah,
But if
yeah.
you guys aren't in Beijing, like Bacardi and Martini are like these bars in downtown Beijing, San Latun area, rooftops. It's
The aesthetic is quite
the
nice.
aesthetic.
they're
They
very
are
nice
very
aesthetic.
beautiful bars,
But they're definitely
it's
bars
it's a vibe
where
though.
people order bottles to their table
bottle
to be like,
service.
look, I ordered a bottle to my table.
Yes.
Which, like, no shame. Like, if that's what you want to
Sure.
do, live it. But
Yeah.
I'm judging you. Like, you know.
So tell us about dating when you first came to China then. Also, are you on the apps? Like, how were you meeting people? What has been your overall experiences dating? And
In China.
yes.
So when I first came to China, I wasn't really like, I don't know, it took me like a month or two to like have the culture shock and like settle and like get like a group of friends and stuff. But like the minute I did that, I was like, okay, any hole's a goal, okay? And I just like, I just went out and like I had sex with like loads of guys, safe, protected, and I always got tested. And I'm a big advocate on like getting tested for sexual health. So anyone that's listening,
And so is Date Night China.
and so is Date Night China. Anyone that's listening, please go get tested. It's good for you and it's good for other people.
Hashtag health.
Hashtag help, yeah.
Hashtag health.
But yeah, I was like going out and I just was like sleeping with anybody and anything that I wanted to. Now, being settled in China and like knowing loads of people, I'm kind of like, ugh, wish I didn't have sex with you. Wish I didn't have sex with you. And they're like,
Because the community's so small.
'Cause the
I mean, that's what a
community's
lot
so
of people
small,
say,
yeah.
especially during COVID now, you know.
yeah, and
Ooh.
like now somehow it's all the guys I've slept with that have stayed.
Yeah,
And,
you're like, why are these the guys
yeah,
who
why is it
stayed?
these ones? You
But
know?
would it be the case if it was flipped and all the other guys came back? It's like, oh no, all the guys that I slept with have stayed. Like,
Yeah. But I think I now after like, because obviously when I first came here I didn't really realize what LBHs were and stuff. Like I knew it, but like I didn't really care as much. But being more settled here, I kind of was like, oh, I know what I want and what I don't want, what kind of guy I'm after. Because like I'll sleep with anything, like I don't really mind. But like there's a lot of people that like want a desired image. Like a lot of Chinese guys want I get a lot of Chinese guys after me because I'm tall, blonde, and white. Like it's, you know, I'm an Aryan dream.
An Aryan dream.
Flipping my hair.
hashtag, wait, no.
Yeah. But, yeah, and like I get a lot of that, and like it's really off-putting because I can like tell like, oh, you just want me because I'm tall, blonde, and white.
You
rather
feel like
than,
you're just checking off a box.
yeah, you're just
for
checking
them.
boxes, like, which I have used to my advantage. Sometimes I've been like, oh, you're hot, I don't really care. But like sometimes, like even if it's just casual sex, like I'm not a checklist, you know.
Yeah.
I want someone to have sex with me because I'm a nice person, not because I'm this sexual god, you know.
And I guess those things, because again, that's come up in the videos that we've made this year, and the interviews that we've done. That sort of checklist mentality, it always feels like, from what people say, it comes off straight away. Like straight out the gate, it's like, oh, I've never slept with a XYZ person or like whatever before, so let's get to it.
Let's check that box.
Yeah.
Which like I find a
It's
lot.
not even veiled, you know. It's not.
It's very upfront.
It's
yeah.
very which like you can argue it's like a good thing. You can argue it's a bad thing. You know, like I argue it's a bad thing because people are always like, oh, it's good because I know what I want. I like what I like and blah 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 blah. But like it's not the greatest, you know. It's just not good. It's not great. What was your question again?
So just dating in the LGBTQ community, but also dating apps. How would you meet guys, and kind of what was your approach from the beginning? Would you tell them?
Other than Temple of Heaven pictures, are there any sort of red flags?
I'm a sucker for people that get professional photo shoots done in like the park.
Oh my god!
I'm so into it. Like,
well, because it's like it's so lame. It's cool.
Yeah. Like,
okay.
But like it depends why they did it. If they did it because they were like, oh, this was so lame, it was cool. Like, you know, like
you like the ironic.
Yeah, they're doing it because like, oh, look at me, I'm a tourist. Then I'm super into it. If they're doing it because they were like, oh, I wanted to get some like. They hired a photographer to come follow them around like Chaoyang Park. I'm like, oh, okay, like whatever. But yeah.
Have you done it before?
No, but
are you thinking about it?
I'm dying to do it, but I want one that I can dress up. You know,
yeah, your costume changes.
Yeah, me and my roommate our dream is to get wedding pictures in front of the drum tower. That's like our goal. That's what we're striving to.
Gosh.
Yeah, we've been working on it for a while now.
I think you two actually need the couples matching outfits.
Yeah, that's what we want. Like, there's a name for it in Chinese, the matching outfit thing.
We've been talking about it for a while, haven't we?
We have. We have.
Do you know the Chinese?
I don't know the Chinese for it, though.
There's like a term for the matching outfit.
Let us know in the comments. What is the Chinese term for the matching outfits?
I'm so into these matching outfits. I think it's one of my favorite things about China.
So are you looking for a guy who would do matching outfits with you?
Yeah, that's the dream, man. But also a guy that doesn't want to be my boyfriend. But so dating apps and stuff. Yeah, like when I first came, I was a staple on Grindr, man. Like you opened, I was online. Tinder
and do you
too.
make the first move, or do you wait for somebody, or both ways?
It doesn't bother me. Either way is fine. Like I'm not into the whole like, oh, you need to make a move, I need to make a move thing. I just think it's stupid. It doesn't bother me. I don't really care. If I think someone's hot, I'll say hi. If they think I'm hot, I'd hope they'd say hi. It's actually like a really big turn off for me where like guys, if I go and speak to a guy, I actually had this in QS not long ago, of all places, where like I went and I was with a bunch of people I knew, and there was a bunch of girls I knew, and they were like, oh, is there anyone that you think's hot here, Martyn? And I was like, no, it's QS. Like, like it's just like watching the Gremlins. Like, it's, you know, me included. Like, as soon as I step into QS, I mean, because
QS is where you go at like 2 a.m. and you're already lit, and
you're
already
just
like, everybody's a mess.
Yeah,
like,
you've got like food all over your face. Like, everyone's a mess at QS, like myself included. No shame. But yeah, so they come over to me and they're like, there's this guy, he's like really into you. Who do you think's hot here? And I was like, I don't know. And they were like, it's him. And I was like, yeah, like he's all right. And then for the whole night, they're like pushing this guy into me, like you're in school. And they're like pushing this guy towards me.
Him?
And I just was like, I just walk away because like I can't be done with that shit. I'm 28, I'm too old. And so eventually I just was like, all right, I've had enough. And I went up and was like, hey, I'm Martyn. Like, how are you? And he was so awkward. And I was like, why are you so awkward? And he was like, oh, like I just think you're really hot. And I instantly like, if my dick could have went back inside my body like a belly button, it would have, like, because I just was like, ugh, like, if you think someone's hot, go tell them you think they're hot. Like,
so for you, confidence is hot. Yeah.
It's not just confidence. It's just like, be honest about, like, you know,
own it.
Yeah, own it. Like, if you know, like,
some people would have thought. I mean, it's horses for courses, isn't it? Because somebody would have thought as that as like endearing. And then that would have been like, oh, that is so sweet.
Yeah, some people are into that where they're like, oh, it's so cute that you were so shy. But for me, I'm just like, your friends were having to push you into me, man. But then as the night went on, I was, I got, like, the more drunk I got, that I was like, can I get your WeChat? Blah, blah. And then, I got his WeChat. I didn't, like, sleep with him or anything. I just got his WeChat and then never spoke to him ever again.
That's also a thing.
I don't even remember his name. I don't even know if I still have him or whatever. But yeah, like, to me, it's like a massive turn off, that kind of stuff. I prefer meeting people in person now. I think when I first came here and I was like sleeping around, I was definitely into like Grindr and Tinder and stuff. Tinder's not that good though. I'm not really into Tinder.
Yeah, do you find you just see people that you know already and you're kind of like, ugh, like I already know this person, or they're my friend?
I think Tinder's more relationship-y, I think. Which is like great if that's what you're here for. Like, use Tinder, like go left, right, center. My friends back home are all telling me about Hinge and Bumble, and they say Hinge is really good. Yeah. But I don't know, I've never used it. But Grindr is good if I want to get my dick sucked. Like, it's really easy. Like, honestly, I think gays are light years ahead of straight people because, like, we've got such a culture of being like, oh, you want to suck my dick? Okay. and then you'll go do it, and then you'll be like, okay, bye.
Yeah.
You know, and like sometimes they're like, oh, you want to hang out, and you're like, okay, and then you like can hang out with them, and I know it's like we cut way to the chase.
Just express dating.
Yeah. Like there's not even name. It's just express.
Yeah.
Like you're just you're getting expedited.
Yeah.
Which I like. I don't know. I think it's kind of healthy because like everybody has sexual needs, you know, and some people don't want relationships. You can just find that sexual need from somebody else that needs that sexual need, and Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. Yeah. Linda's your cousin. Like there you go, you get it sorted. You know. But then also you get people on Grindr that are like, oh, I want a relationship. I'm not really on like any of these anymore. I kind of stopped like when I was dating the last guy, because
you may have some guys now listening to this like, oh, where's Martyn?
Where's Martyn? Sometimes I like cave and I'm like, I go on and then I look at people, but then I'm just like, no, can't be arsed anymore. I'd rather meet someone in person and like get to know them, because like,
we'll wait a few days after this airs. This episode airs. Just
no one's gonna want to speak to me.
No, surely not.
I think like when you speak to someone, you get a better idea of who they are and like what they're into and what they're after. Because like even though like I don't want a relationship, I don't want my friends call it like, they always say like, you want a boyfriend who's not your boyfriend, but it's still kind of your boyfriend but isn't your boyfriend. Which is like true. Like I want someone that I can like, oh, you want to go for dinner, you want to go to the cinema, blah blah blah. But I like don't want commitment. But I also wouldn't like sleep around with other people. You know, like, so the guy I was seeing like last year, we hung around all the time. We did everything. We like slept over with each other. We'd cook each other dinner, blah blah blah. We'd like celebrate Valentine's Day together. But like, I just was like, I don't want a boyfriend. But we did everything the boyfriends did. But I was like, no. But I also wasn't sleeping around with other people.
Okay.
But you know, and like that's a kind of fuckboy tendencies where I'm like, I'm showing you all the signs that I want this like a boyfriend, but I'm also being like, no, I don't.
Do you think that's what confused him then? He was like, well, you say this thing, but your actions are showing me maybe you're kind of interested, or it could be more.
For sure. And that's like where I still have issues with fuckboyness, where I'm like, oh, I want all this, but like I also don't. Yeah. You know, it's like that. Have you ever seen The Favourite with Olivia Colman?
No.
No. Oh, there's a scene where she's like the queen, and there's like a butler, and she's like, look at me, and then he looks at her, and then she goes, don't look at me, and then she slaps him, and like that's me. I'm like, look at me, but don't look at me, but look at me, but don't look at me, and that's like what I feel like sometimes when I'm like, oh, I want it all, but like I also don't, and that's why I still have issues with being a fuckboy.
So like, is it just down to the label? Is that what it is? Like that sort of that public announcement of like, not ownership, but commitment or something like that. Is it just a label? I don't know. I think everybody's got different definitions of it. You know, like to me, it's like the whole commitment thing is what makes the label. But if you're doing all those things and then suddenly, and that's fine, but like but if that partner's then like, oh, this is my boyfriend, or like updates the status and saying, me and Martyn, you know, we are.
Yeah, no.
Then suddenly it's like, oh no.
Yeah, no. That's like a big no. I'm not like a sharer on social media about like that kind of stuff, like, because he always used to have a go at me and be like, you never post me on your moments, blah blah blah. And I was like, I don't post anything on my moments, like I don't.
And where was he from?
He was Chinese. He was
Chinese. I feel like that's a big thing as well in Chinese culture, or like to show and post, or like talk about like, ooh, this person on my moments, or
because he used to do it, and he'd be like, I don't get why you don't do it, like you don't want to show me off to your friends and stuff. He actually like never met any of my friends, because I'm a big like, I'm really into like compartmentalizing things, and I think I spoke to you about this before, Rachel, where I was like, it stems from we're getting deep. It stems from like, I had a relationship for like 2 years, and like me and this guy were madly in love, and like it was like my first like real relationship and my real love.
And so that was like in uni back in Scotland, right?
Yeah, it was back in university, and like I just like in my head was like, oh, it's me and you, we're ride or die, we're Bonnie and Clyde, we're Thelma Louise, you know, like we're Sandy and Danny.
Yeah.
And it was like ride or die, but then he cheated on me on Christmas of all days. Yeah.
Oh my god.
No, the kicker is that like it was Christmas Day, it was Christmas night, and like, you know, we'd obviously had Christmas with our families, and then we met to like give each other gifts and stuff, and then, you know, obviously we started fornicating, and I'm lying there with stuff on me, and I'm like, go get me a towel, and then as he's like going to get tissues / towel, I can't remember, he was like, oh, I need to tell you something, and I instantly was just like, you.
Did you know? You were like,
I was like, I knew instantly,
that
and I
was
was just
the
like,
moment?
but he
that was
told
the
you
moment.
after.
That was the moment he chose.
After you had sex.
Yeah, after we had sex, like I still
now's a
had,
good time.
I had him on me, like his stuff was on me. That
What a classic guy move.
and I just
to,
was like,
blow your load and then like, you know what, actually.
yeah, actually, I cheated on you, and it really, really broke me down for like such a long time. I think it was made worse because my best friend at the time, like, well, she's still my best friend now. Sorry. Her boyfriend also cheated on her. So like me and her were like, but we made each other way worse than we should have, because we just would like sit on the sofa together crying. And I used to live in this apartment that was right next to a train line, and it rains all the time in Scotland. And so we would lie on my sofa and watch trains go by whilst it rained. And like, honestly,
sounds like a movie.
Yeah, it's like a movie, and we would just play Sinead O'Connor, Nothing Compares to You. And that was like, not even lying, we'd have it on repeat, and we'd just lie there, and we would just be like looking out the window, and like, honest, and it was like the saddest image. And like, I used to have a roommate as well, and she once walked in on us and was just like, we hadn't moved in like 3 days. Like, so what we used to do is like,
How does that song sound? It's been 7 hours
and
and 15 days.
But we honestly planted ourselves for a week. We phoned in sick to work the whole week and didn't brush our teeth for like 5 days. Can we like? So I had one of those sofas that pull out.
That part seems optional.
Yeah,
you know, like,
that was definitely not.
That doesn't seem necessary to the whole breakup angst.
The bathroom was right next to the window, so it was sheer laziness.
I don't know about that one.
The only time we would get out of the sofa bed that we'd made was to go and get the Chinese food from the door, or
get the takeout. Yeah.
Or if we had to like pee or something.
A precursor to your life now.
Yeah.
Foreshadowing.
And then so we made each other like even sadder, and it like. We definitely put each other further in this hole of like being sad, and we both definitely gave each other commitment issues, because we were like, boys suck, men are horrible, blah,
Never
blah.
doing this again.
Never doing this again.
Never trusting anybody I'm never gonna love.
Legit. And like both of us still have never had a relationship since.
Wow.
Yeah. And
so it was like that deeply, like those scarring.
Yeah, we were just like really, really hurt, because we both were like in long-term relationships, and they both cheated on us, and it was both at like the holidays, like, you know, it's the time for joy.
Yeah.
And it wasn't joy, and like, so I was like really, really sad for a long time, and like after that, I became like a huge fuckboy right after that. Like it's not like great, it's not healthy, and I recognize that now, but like I used to like, I'd go to the club, I'd take a guy home with me, I'd have sex with him, but as soon as I ejaculated, I would just be like, okay, like you can leave. And they'd be like, what? And I'd be like, you want me to get you a taxi? And like they wouldn't have finished, but I'd be like, okay, like bye. And I'd always get this reaction where they'd be like, and I'd be like, yeah, like I'm done, you can go. Like, and it was like quite a lot of times I did that.
Wow, from the embers of your heartache.
Yeah, like this monster.
There was just like a stone
monstrous
wall
phoenix.
up though. You're
Yeah.
just like,
Wow.
And it like defo was like me just being like, oh, like no one cared about me at that point. Like looking back, I think when I smoked all those magic cigarettes, I came to this whole realization about where I was just like,
Magic cigarettes are good for that.
they are really good for helping you. I used to like have some magic cigarettes and go for a run and like just think about life and stuff, and I came to so much realizations about stuff, and it made me think like at that time I just wanted someone to like care about me, and because nobody would, I was like, okay, well I don't care about anyone else, and so I was doing all this stuff to just kind of get back at the world almost, like, you know, and like just get back at men in general. But like I was actually telling in preparation for this, I was speaking to my roommate about it, and I was telling her about this one guy, and I think this is probably the worst thing I've ever done, where like, so I was dating this boy for like 3 months, but like in my head I was like, whatever, like I'm just dating this boy, it's nothing. I was still sleeping with other people. I knew he wasn't, but like I didn't care. I was like, whatever. And it was this boy's like 21st birthday, and he was like, oh, like, I want you to come. I'm like super, super excited for you to meet all my friends and stuff. They're all going to be there. I've told them all so much about you. And I'm like, okay, cool. In my head, I was like, I'm not fucking going. I'm not going to this thing. But up until the day, like even on the day, I was like, yeah, I'm still going to be there. I'm getting ready right now. But I was like, I went round to my other friend's house and we were drinking at her house, and like with no intent of going. And I texted him like 3 hours into his party and was like, oh, I'm really sorry, I'm not going to make it. And then I broke up with him 2 days later, which was like the day after his actual birthday.
oh wow.
Yeah. And then like, but I didn't think anything of it because I was so like,
Just in
So
your
detached and, like-
zone.
I was so detached, and I was like, I'm the main character. You're all just side quests, you know?
Yeah.
But then I ended up becoming friends with him. Well, friends with his friends like years later, and they were like, man, you have no idea how sad you made him that night on his birthday. They're like, he like compensated by getting really, really drunk and like sitting outside just like crying and wouldn't speak to anybody because like he was like so happy about me getting to meet all of his friends and like sharing like this part of his life. And I just like took a massive dump on it all, you know, and then broke it off like 2 days later where I was just like, this isn't working out. Yeah. And I even remember like when I broke it off with him, he messaged me back being like, is it something wrong with me? And at the time I was like, no. I didn't reassure him or anything. I wasn't like, no, it's me. I just was like, no, I just don't want to do this anymore. And then like we ended up speaking about years later where I was like, yeah, like I super was like, he was like, I think he was the first person that ever was like, Martyn, you're just a massive fuckboy. Like you shouldn't be even showing guys that you want to commit to them. Because I defo would like lead guys on and being like, yeah, like let's spend all our time together. Let's do all this stuff. Like, and then just.
But you're ready at any point to just be like, eh.
Yeah, I would just, dropping a boy was nothing to me. Like it was like whatever, like on to the next one. I'll see you later. Like I even like, so I used to work in America, like teaching wakeboarding over the summer when I was at uni. And I dated this guy for like 4 months. And then I went away for the summer. I was away for 3 months. And he like waited for me the whole summer, like waited for me. And like, I never had my phone because I was always on a boat. So like, I didn't want to drop my phone in the water. So I just would never message him. And I told him that. I was like, you probably won't hear much from me for the 3 months. And he was like, yeah, that's fine. But he was like, I'll wait for you. And I got back and I met him like a couple of days after I got back. And I just was like, I don't want to do this. And just dropped him.
So, oh my God. And he'd spent the whole summer thinking and waiting for you. He spent the whole summer like
waiting for me and like thinking about me and like would always like send me like now I'm like, I like also have came to really, he was the love of my life of like, he was so funny and like stuff. And I really, really fucked it up. Which is my own doing, you know, like it's the bed that I made. I kind of got to lay in it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Martyn. Like, I feel like we just heard like the origin story though. Yeah. And like, it's interesting to hear how you've reflected or like thought about things and like just the journey of it.
Yeah. I'm definitely trying to like get way better at it now because I think 28 and you're still being a fuckboy, it's like grow up.
It kind of feels like you started as like the, you know, like the main character in like a quest or an adventure. Then there was the then you turn into the villain. Then maybe a bit of a right now it's like between like anti-hero and hero again.
I'm the Scarlet Witch.
You're on the redemption. You're on the redemption road right now.
Yeah, but I still have these tendencies. You know, like some things still.
Well, Rome wasn't built in a day, mate.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. Yeah. It really,
so what
really
about the love of your life? Like, is that something that you foresee after China? Like, is that a
he has
relationship?
a boyfriend.
Oh, okay.
He has a boyfriend for like 3 years now. But like every time I've seen him when I'm back in Scotland, he's actually English, unfortunately.
Well.
Yeah, he's from Newcastle.
Well, that's even worse.
Yeah, it's even worse. But every time I see him, like I told him one day, I was just like you are the love of my life. Like I was like, one day, like we will. And I was like, and I told him I was like, I'll drop anything for you, man. And like, cause it was such like a realization afterwards that I was like,
you were like, this is it. This is like my truth that I
really,
know
really
now.
fucked it up. And I told him that, and he was like, man, I waited 3 months for you, Martyn, and you just dropped me. He even got his ass waxed for me coming back.
Wow.
Like, yeah, he was.
That's not love, then I don't know what is.
Yeah, and he said to me, he was like, I have it as a screenshot somewhere, and it's like I got my ass waxed for you.
Oh.
I've not even done that for Rachel.
No.
Yeah, no, you haven't. Yeah.
You got to. I think this is a sign.
I don't know if you really even love me.
Yeah. Wow. I'm questioning it all now.
Yeah. But I guess it's like imagining, I know girls who have told me stories like this, you know, and they like go through the whole, oh yeah, I've waxed, I've done everything, and the anticipation and the emotional like waiting, you know. Wow. But do you think like now dating in China, because you kind of are thinking about like maybe this guy, maybe one day, that now it's kind of like, well, I'm going to enjoy my time and have fun. I'm going to spend time with my friends and I'm just going to date around, and maybe in the future that will be the thing that I settle down with.
Anything I do is never to settle down. Like I don't go into anything being like, oh, like where am I going to be with you in the future? Like I don't really care about that. Like I'm a very famous person called Edna Mode from The Incredibles once said, don't look back at the past, stick to the now. And like, yeah, like stick to the now. Don't look to your future, stick to now. Like, because anything could happen. Like, you know, you could get deported. You could dog could eat your
That's
passport.
true.
There's like loads of things that can happen.
Yeah.
Where like
Speaking from personal
yeah,
experience.
it's personal experience. Your dog could eat your passport. You know, and like there's no point in. I also think it's not fair to put all that pressure on someone of being like, oh, you know, there could be this potential in the future and stuff. I'd rather just like live in the now, when I'm dating guys and just be like, let's just take it as it comes, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you tell us? So, can you tell us about? We got into some really deep stuff there.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
No, it's okay. It's fine. Like I said, like when I smoked all these magic cigarettes, I came to this whole realization in my head, like where I was like, wow, man, like, and I think it's healthy to share these kind of things with people because like someone else can think like that and be like, oh wow, like maybe I should question why I'm such a dick to guys or girls or the in-betweens,
Whoever.
like
And it's so hard to get out of those loops, especially when it comes to relationships. So, because, you know, people, they'll go through the same motions or history will repeat itself because they're playing the same role. Or, like, you know, guys that have talked about, you know, the white knight syndrome and, like, wanting to, like, find somebody to, you know, guys and girls.
What's the white knight syndrome?
The white knight syndrome is finding somebody that you feel that you can fix. Or, like, you know, like their life is somehow...
The savior.
there is something off in their life, and then you think, well, you know what, all they need is some TLC and somebody that's right for them, and I can be that hero, I can be that person, you know.
I think
but then
I
they're playing a
retract
role,
lot.
and then they, you know, and then it all backfires. And there's loads of different syndromes or like different, you know, like roles that people play, but recognizing that loop and saying, why am I getting these results every time? It's maddening.
Yeah, I also don't get that. People that are like, why does this keep happening to me? And I'm like, well...
Because you had the happy cigarettes, and it broke you out of the loop.
It broke me out of the loop, man, and it got me going. I think, like, as well, I had a really good... it wasn't a relationship because he wasn't my boyfriend, obviously. But there was a guy I was seeing for a while 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago. Can't remember. And he was from Chile, and, like, it was, like, the first time I'd ever dated somebody that would, like, every week or every 2 weeks, he'd want to have a conversation of, like, so where are we at? Like, how are you feeling about everything right now? And he was like very open about like, oh, I don't care if you, like when we first started bringing it up, he was like, I'm not asking you this for you to be like, oh, I really like you, blah, blah. He was like, I just want to know where you're at. It's like, so I can know where I'm, like, so I can like not get either too invested or I can like maybe invest a little bit more and stuff. And like, I don't even know how long I dated him, but like we like traveled China and stuff together, and like, it was really nice and refreshing to have somebody that was like, oh, I want to actually talk about this rather than just like try. And I think it was the closest I got to having a relationship where I was like, we were just always open and honest with each other about where we were at, what we were doing, how life was. You know, eventually I dropped him. Yeah, but like
healthy for a while.
Yeah.
Healthy though to have that check-in though, and to say, hey, it's okay. And have those like check-ins and just ask.
Yeah.
And he's not fishing for compliments. He's not fishing for
Yeah.
you to lie to him or like, I want you to tell me that you love me and that, or that you really like me. And
because I've had lots of boys that like have kind of had this kind of conversation, but it's always like, so what are we? Waiting for me to be like boyfriends, but they never hear it, and then they get upset, and then they, you know, one thing or another. But this guy purely was just like, I don't care what you say. I just want to know where you're at, like, and it was the first time, like, I didn't even have a chance to be a fuckboy with him because I was like, oh, like, I'm actually just telling you how I feel. And
really
he was,
wears my headset.
yeah,
right
and
now.
he was totally fine with it. Where I was like, oh, like, I don't want a boyfriend, blah 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 blah. He was like, okay, cool, like that's fine, and like he would never breathe down my neck texting me. He never like put pressure on being like, let me meet your friends, blah blah blah. He was just really content with being like, oh, I like hanging out with you, and it was so weird and it was so refreshing. He's left now. He's not in China anymore. Yeah, broke his heart. No, I'm joking. No, he just left. He had to go home. But like that kind of mentality is like what I was like. It finally came to a realization where I was like, oh, that's what I want. I want someone that like, it's just cool, like living life how it is and like being fluid and like whatever this relationship term is, and just being fine with it. But like also being open and honest about how they feel. Because he was definitely like way more into me than I was into him, and he was like open about it. He was like, yeah, like I definitely want more from this than you do, but he was like, I'm fine like chilling at your level. He was like, that's okay with me, like, you know. And it was really, really refreshing, and I've never had it since, and I'd never had it before. But it's something I took from that like dating, where I was like, oh, I can use this in like further datings to be like, And it helped a bit. I think when I dated the Chinese guy, they have a totally different culture when it comes to dating. So like,
Yeah, have
it
you
wasn't-
dated Chinese
yeah,
guys?
and
Yeah. Oh yeah, you have. Yeah.
it doesn't. I don't know. Their culture is like a lot different. Obviously, there's like a generalization. Some of them aren't like as into that culture thing. But yeah, it was definitely something I took from that Chilean guy where I was like, oh, I can use this with like other guys or other partners, and I think it's like actually beneficial, you know.
And that sort of maturity comes with age and experience, doesn't it? You know what I mean? Like, you know,
Yeah, or seeing how he modeled that thing, you're like, oh, that's a great tool. I can just take and move on to the next relationship I have, or I can just read check-ins and like, you know what, I'm still at this level. That's all I want.
And it's fine. Like, I think if I was like into someone, and I was like checking in on them, they were like, oh, I'm maybe not there yet. I'd be like, okay, cool. But like, it's nice to know that.
Now
you know?
I know.
Yeah, now I know. And
I'm
like,
not feeling like, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
And you start thinking
you're
about
not
things
on
in your head.
feet about stuff, and like, I think it's I think it's definitely like helped to progress me, like not being as much of a fuckboy, because it was like, I think before I was being so like, my fuckboy tendencies come from this like thing of like, oh, I'm into you and you're into me, but like I want to end it before you do, because I honestly think behind every fuckboy or fuckgirl is just like a sad child that is like wants someone to like care about them and not drop them, because that's definitely what I wanted, and it's definitely probably to some extent what I still want now. Like, even though I'm still like, I don't want a relationship, part of me, it's like a human desire to have another half, you know. Like the Greeks believed that like we were one whole that split in two, and we're just trying to find the other half. And I think everybody, even if you don't want it, subconsciously you do, because it's like, it's human nature, you know. It's like our ability, it's like drinking water, like you just want water, you know.
Yeah.
And like everybody just wants love to some extent, whether you find your love in your relationships or your friendships or your family. Everybody wants that love and that connection, you know.
Yeah. And do you find like, I guess now with that mentality, you're kind of like, I'm going to hurt you before you can hurt me, because I would rather that than
the
yeah,
alternative.
it's like a fear of being vulnerable as well, of like, you don't want to be vulnerable to someone for them to just like shit over your life, you know.
Yeah.
Because like I just always think about how sad I was, and I was like sad for honestly like 2 years.
yeah.
Like,
And you're like, I don't want to feel this way again.
yeah, I just like was like, I didn't want to feel like
yeah.
I didn't want to feel like that anymore, where I was just like, okay, well, I'm just going to chop it before it ever gets to that stage. And then I think as the years have gone on, that time frame of chopping it has gotten longer and longer and longer, that now I can like date someone for more than a month without being like, bye, you know. And it's like, it's progressed. It's definitely like, you know, everybody's got room to work, you know. We've all got our flaws, we've all got room to work on our flaws. And I definitely still have like lots of room to work, but you know, we're on the upward slope.
We're all
So-
in progress.
So for fuckboys that are listening that may not know that they are one, what are the signs that they should be looking out for, and what they need to do to get out the loop without the advantages being in China of having happy cigarettes?
Man, do some yoga, man. Like, I've never done yoga a day in my life, but like I hear it's like really zen and crap. I don't know. I just think like there's no telltale sign of like if you're a fuckboy, because like I never ever thought I was. Like,
Symptoms may include
symptoms may include nausea. Yeah, I don't know. It's like, just if you look at yourself and your relationships and like with people, and just see like, are they fulfilling the needs you want? Or, you know, are you being honest about the needs you want? Like, if you do just want sex, are you being honest about that? Because if you're not, you're a fuckboy. If you want a relationship but you're going after people that don't want relationships, you're a fuckboy magnet. You know, like, a fuckboy is also a term that includes girls. You know, like,
Oh yeah, that's another thing. It could be anybody
fuckboy
could
can
be a
be
fuckboy.
anybody. Like,
Women can be
yeah.
fuckboys. Like,
It's 2022. Women can be fuckboys,
Yes.
guys.
Yeah, and boys can be fuck girls, you know.
Exactly.
We're all fuck people,
Yes.
and we're all fuck thems,
Yes.
fuck they thems, you know.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Okay, so before we go though, you recently had told us about a date experience you had around Hohai Lake with somebody who was beatboxing. I feel like I want to hear that story. Could you share that?
So I do improv, and this guy was in the audience. He was sitting next to my roommate as well, and he was speaking to my roommate, not knowing that she was my roommate, and was like, "Wow, that boy is really hot. Like, is he gay?" And my roommate was like, "Yeah." But she was like,
I feel like she probably like is there and gets the comments and gets to like direct them to you.
She's like, go, go, go. And then, so she got to me before he did, and he was like, she was like, this guy thinks you're really hot. And I was like, oh, okay. And then, anyway, I went over to him and started speaking to him. We got each other's WeChats. And then we organized a date. We went to Zara. Shout out Zara. It's a really good restaurant. She's a sponsor. We went to Zara and we were like, oh, let's just have dinner. So I turned up in like a hoodie and like trackies. And he turned up in like a shirt and jeans and smart shoes and like a trench coat. And I was like, whoa, Inspector Gadget, calm down. I was like, fuck. And then that was kind of my first like, oh, yikes. We had dinner and like he was just like showing off about himself the whole time. And I was like, ugh.
Was he really trying to impress you a lot?
Yeah, like he was a bit younger. I think he was like 23 or 4 and I'm 28. So like it was already a reach. Like not that I don't date people that young, but like I don't know. I just in China, everyone's a bit older, you know. Like I think I'm quite young in China compared to everyone I know. Anyway, so we're having dinner, and he just keeps talking about the fact that he goes to Princeton or he went to Princeton. Me as a British person was like, oh, whatever. The only like reference point I have for Princeton is that that Hilary Duff movie where she's Cinderella.
Oh yes,
you know,
Chad Michael Murray.
Oh
my gosh,
Princeton boy.
Cinderella story.
Yeah,
right?
he's Chad Michael Murray's Princeton boy or Princeton guy.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's like my only point of reference, so it means nothing to me. But he'd always be like, yeah, it's a really good school, blah blah blah, and I was like, okay, like whatever,
cool.
like I don't
Good
care. Yeah,
cool.
And then we went on a second date. Because I always give people the benefit of the doubt, you know, because I also like this, we weren't going on dates to like be a relationship. Even if I'm having sex with someone, I still like to get to know them first. Now, a little bit more. So I do still do a one night stand here and there, but yeah.
Hey.
But yeah, so we're walking around Hohai Lake and we're just like talking about life. And I was talking about something like completely random. And he was like, oh, I can beatbox. And I was like, what? And again, like if my penis could have went back in my body like a belly button, it would have. And I was like, okay, cool. Didn't invite him into any sort of situation.
Not an invitation.
No invitations. I just was like, oh, okay, cool.
But what happened next, Martyn?
And he continued to like beatbox. And I don't just mean like Boots and Cats. It was like, you know when they make like under the Boots and Cats?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, he was kind of...
Can you demonstrate for us?
No, I'm not even gonna, no.
We'll put sound effects in. We'll put sound effects in.
Insert here.
Yeah.
There we go. He was good at it. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it was good. But like, there's a time and a place. You know, have you ever played Pokemon?
Yes.
You know when you try to take your bike out in like a mall and this like Oak's word said there's a time and a place for everything. And there's a time and a place for everything, and that was not the time and the place, because I was standing there like, you know when you're like young and your mum meets someone in the supermarket and you're just standing there.
You're just awkwardly.
Yeah, like, that's what I was doing at Hohai Lake, where I was just like, right, when's my mum gonna stop speaking to this stranger so we can go home? Like,
I want to leave right now.
Yeah, I want to leave. And I was like, and then he stopped and I was like, okay. And he went, yeah, it's good, isn't it? And I was like, oh, man, you're such a douche. Yeah.
Wow.
I still ended up having sex with him. Because, you know.
You're like, I listened to this. I'm in this far.
Yeah, I was
might as well.
If I'm going to listen to you beatbox, I'm
going to get
we're at least going to have sex.
Out of this.
If you can do that with your mouth, then...
Yeah, then... No, quite bad, actually. Yeah, you'd think, it wasn't that good.
Oh, it didn't translate.
Yeah, it didn't translate well, no.
Oh.
But yeah, he was a definition of an LBH, where he thought he was God's gift in China, because he went to Princeton and he was tall and he was blonde and he was...
Oh, wow. Sounds like
I
he was
feel
like
bad about the
peacocking a bit.
beatboxing though, thinking, this'll, you know what I mean? Nothing's working. What can I do?
I'm going to try beatbox.
I know, I'll do something really cool.
We went for dinner in... Do you know the Japanese restaurant in Nalipat? We went to dinner in a Japanese restaurant. A really nice one. And he kept like saying one-liners, but like they weren't funny, so I wasn't laughing. So he then proceeded to tell. So he took that as an invitation to. Oh, Martyn wants me to tell him jokes.
Oh no!
I didn't.
And is he like a comedian or something?
No.
No.
No, he's not.
Okay.
But he you know those really, really long jokes that people tell and they're super, super long and there's like actually no point to them in the end. And, like the punchline's always like, there was no punchline.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
You know, and he was telling me one of these and I went, he finished and I was like, okay. So he told me another one. And at the end of that, I was like, and so he told me another one. And like for this whole dinner, he just was telling me jokes where like they weren't funny.
Oh, no.
Like, you know, there wasn't even like a shred of humor in it. And like you can kind of gauge someone's humor when you're talking to them. And like I have quite a dark humor. And I told him that after like joke 4. I was like, I'm not
Joke
like,
4.
I'm not really
I
I was like, I'm not really into jokes like this. I have a pretty dark sense of humor. Like I'm quite dry. And he was like, oh, here's another joke with a punchline.
He's
And
like, that's cool, but like, let me keep telling you my
yeah,
jokes.
and I just was like, oh man, this is awkward. Yeah, I ended it eventually, and I think he's went back to America, but he's went back to Princeton, the Holy Grail.
Maybe that works well there.
Yeah, he also hit my dog, and I was really annoyed about it. Yeah, he came into my house, and my dog like chewed his shoe, and he like booped him on the nose, and I was like, excuse you, not your dog to boop.
Yeah.
How fucking dare you?
Wow.
The audacity.
Yeah, the audacity.
Wow.
Learned a lot of Princeton other than manners.
Yeah, well, I've now came to the conclusion if I meet someone from Princeton, I'm automatically going to be like, oh, so you're a dick. Yeah.
You beatbox
But you
it.
still might fuck them.
But yeah, the door's open. There's a light.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you for coming along and
No worries.
being on the show.
Anytime.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. It's
Yeah.
it's very open, welcome space that you guys like create and provide. It's really, really nice actually.
Well, thank you.
I feel like I
It's
just
been
had
fun.
free therapy actually. It's quite nice. You know?
No, God, there was a real roller coaster.
Yeah.
Real adventure there, you know.
Yeah.
We had some comedy, we had some laughs, we had a bit of a, you know.
And we
Yeah.
had
Tear-jerking
good times,
stuff,
we had
yeah.
bad times.
Oh my God.
We had in between times.
I hope you, the listener, have felt the same way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I just like I've learned a lot, and Martyn, it's been really cool to meet you, and thank you just for being so open and vulnerable about that stuff. I think a lot of people maybe you don't always get that chance to like hear somebody open up or talk about the story and like from their point of view what that looks like. A lot of times maybe you don't get to have that opportunity, so we really thank you for that.
Well, RuPaul said if you can't love yourself, how are you gonna love someone else? And I always think like if you don't know yourself, how are you gonna? You can't give yourself, you know, if you don't know your true self.
Yeah,
Snaps,
wise
that was-
words.
That was
Snaps.
That was snaps.
That's a perfect note to end on. So thank you ever so much, and we will speak to you all next week.
Bye.
Bye.